So perspectives on tourism is a subject that I thought about for quite some time now, and I also rephrase it as viewpoints on tourism. So without spending much time, I have used case studies, I have used statistics to put forward my point, which I hope you will find interesting and which could be used for your future references as well. So the first point is tourism subjective or objective? This is a question that we all ask ourselves, because as a person belonging to the industry, I want to know this particular question and the answer to this question. As a traveler, people may not be so concerned, but as people from the industry, they would very, very keen to know about subjectiveness or objectiveness of tourism. So to gather more information on this, let us go to the next slide. I've used certain case studies, and my first case study that I've taken is from the Taj Mahal. The Taj Mahal is, as you all know, is a World Heritage Monument. And the Taj Mahal is a World Heritage Monument, and the number of tourists that are received are directly proportional to the facilities offered. This is my first viewpoint on tourism. The Taj Mahal incidentally received 6.9 million visitors in 2018-19. So that means about, as on 31st March, they received 6.9 million visitors. For you, just for the information of few of you, the Taj Mahal took 22 years to build, was built by Shah Jahan and completed in 1644. Is one of the iconic monuments of the modern world, and there is no better monument, I think, that I have come across during my travels across India. What is the benefits of the Taj Mahal? In the sense that besides being an architectural and monumental wonder, and it offers great degree of precision from the Mughal times, as well as certain mind-boggling statistics, certain very interesting information. For example, did you know that there are 43 different kinds of vegetable motifs used on the walls of the Taj Mahal, on the archways, at the entrance points? Did anybody know that there are depictions of pomegranates, there are depictions of tulips, lotuses, all these depictions adorn the walls in carvings as well as paintings, as well as inlay in precious stones. Besides that, the Taj Mahal, the dome that you see on the top is not the actual dome. There is one more dome below this dome. So there are two domes in the Taj Mahal. Between that, there is a hollow. So the larger dome was created to maintain the precision of the monument and the aesthetics of the total monument when seen from a distance. Then yet another very interesting statistics is the Taj Mahal is not made fully out of marble, but marble has been plastered onto stone. That is the brick kiln oven baked stone. So if the Taj Mahal was built of marble, it would never have lasted for so long. So what you see is a plating on stone, and so on and so forth. The Taj has got so many interesting facets to it that there is no doubt that it brings in so many visitors from across the world, as well as domestic tourists from within India. The best thing about the facilities that are there at the Taj is that there are expressways from Delhi to Agra, from Agra to Lucknow. There is an airport at Agra. There is rail travel. Agra is connected by all and to all major cities of India. The second thing is the sunrise visits are possible. So you can see the Taj from 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 in the evening. So you get a full 12 hours. Actually, the best time is still the sunrise visit. There are adequate toilets facilities for handicapped. That is very important at all monuments that we visit. There is dual views possible. You can see the view from the southern end and you can see the view from the northern end. So what we are seeing right now is the view from the southern end. And there is also a 360-degree view that you can see of the Taj Mahal when you visit any rooftop restaurant in the surrounding area of Agra. And quite naturally, it was among the 7 wonders of the modern world. Besides that, the Taj is the most widely photographed monument in the world. So as a result of this, we had 883,000 foreign visitors in the year 2018-19. So that was almost close to 1 million visitors. And this is something very interesting because visitors from all over just have the first dream of seeing the Taj Mahal on their visit to India. In comparison, how do the other monuments fare? Now, the Red Fort, which was also built by Shah Jahan in Delhi in 1648, got 3.6 million visitors. During the same period, the Qutub Minar built in the 12th century got 2.9 million visitors. The Agra fort built by Akbar and Shah Jahan together at different periods of time got 2.5 million visitors. The Konarak temple in Bhubaneswar, which is not in the picture, got 2 million visitors. And the Golconda fort got 1.8 million visitors. All these monuments, if you see, are between 400 to 800 years old. And these have still stood the test of time very, very well. The next point I wish to make is, if there are better facilities, there are better numbers. Now, what happens that in India, there are many of the monuments that are privately owned. Like the City Palace in Udaipur is owned by the royal family. And they made a number of renovations and added international standards to it. They have a number of artifacts, number of precious stones, jewelry, precious monuments. And what happened was that they have seen a steady increase in visitors over the years. I first visited the City Palace Udaipur about 25, 28 years ago. And when I visited it again in 2018, it had 1 million visitors in 2016. So there's a vast improvement in the City Palace Udaipur. The same that I noticed also was at the Scindia Museum in Gwalior, which is also a fascinating museum which you must visit whenever you're in Gwalior. Then there is, coming to Mumbai, there is the World Heritage Site with no entrance fee. And that is the Victoria Terminus Railway Station, that is now known as the Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus Railway Station. What's so special about this particular facade or this monument is that it is also a living railway station. There are at least 1.5 to 2 million people who use this particular railway terminus every day. The VT station or the CST railway station was completed in 1888 and has 3 distinct styles of architecture combined together, which is you have the Victorian, you have the Italian, and you have the Gothic, that is combined to produce this very, very beautiful and awesome as well as grand structure. Now this viewing platform from which you can see these tourists, which has been placed on the western end, is from where you can make pictures. In the earlier days, you had to stand on the road and it was a little dangerous, but now I'm very happy that for the last 3 years, this particular viewing platform has been made where people can take selfies, and it's also called the selfie point in Mumbai. So thanks to all the authorities for this great work that they have done. Now there is another perspective to which I would like to talk about, is that there is no start and end date for well-maintained monuments. So what do I mean by that is basically monuments can be over 1,000 years old, but till today they are a testimony of the past. They can be viewed and they can be seen. So in contrast to the buildings that we live in, which today don't last for more than 50 years, these are the monuments that have lasted for over 1,000 years and in very, very good condition. The 3 case studies that I take is the stepwells at Patan, which is in Gujarat, belonging to the Solanki dynasty, the Brihadeshwara temple, Tanjavur, which is the Chola dynasty, and the Khajuraho group of temples belonging to the Chandela dynasty. All these three points of view that I've taken, all these structures were made in the 11th, 12th century and are close to completing about 1,000 years old today. The extreme climatic condition has not affected these structures. There has been great restoration and these are well-maintained structures today. They are architecturing and engineering marvels, as well as there are some of them are living temples. Like the Brihadeshwara temple in Tanjavur is a living temple. Some parts of the Khajuraho group are living temples. When I mean by the engineering marvels, I mean that who would be able to replace the 60-ton dome on the top of the Tanjavur temple, the Brihadeshwara temple today? It is impossible to even think about it. So if maintained well, I believe that monuments which are man-built may structurally exist forever unless there is an earthquake or some kind of other destruction takes place. One of the best things about Indian monuments and Indian temples and Indian structures is that you got very exquisite carvings. And this is the carving that I see on the stepwells of the Rani Ki Vav at Patan. And you will find this in many other places as well. This lady applying some makeup on her face, on her lips. You see, notice the earrings, which are very large. She comes from supposedly, I think, a very well-to-do family. There is also a very elaborate ornamentation. There is a very good headgear, as well as if you notice, you see that her hair is tied up in a bun. So it is over 1,000 years old. These kind of pictures, these kind of depictions, not just of one particular set of people. You have got different sets. You have demigods. You have animals. You have beautiful, beautiful carvings and sculptures, which tourists from all over the world come in large numbers to see, because these intricate works of art would not have been possible if it was not for the workmanship of the people during those times, the patronage of the rulers, and the carrying forward of the tradition from one generation to the next. Just a second. I'm sorry, I think there is some, can we just, 1 minute.
What happened, Hector?
The screen is not moving to the next.
It's stuck, is it?
Yeah.
Can you stop sharing and then try share again?
Share again.
Yeah, share again.
Okay. The next point of view that I have goes to the national parks of India, and where I mentioned that regulated tourism will benefit nature. And here I talk about the Kanha National Park, or the Tiger Reserve at Kanha, which is in Madhya Pradesh, which is one of the most well-preserved parks in India, covering 2,000 square kilometers, which includes the buffer and core area, spaced out with plenty of prey and predators, including the Royal Bengal tiger. The Kanha Tiger Reserve has plenty of space to offer, was declared a tiger reserve or a national park in 1954, and was then made a tiger reserve in 1973. Today it has 131 tigers across the whole park, and along with the other predators, which include the leopard, the panther, the wild dogs, as well as the jackal and the sloth bear. There's plenty of prey existing inside the park that includes the Barasingha, the antelope, which is endemic only to the Kanha National Park, plenty of different types of deers. There are about 300 varieties of birds, an amazing variety of flora. And the most important thing is that the Kanha National Park is very rich in its vegetation, which mostly consists of teak and sal trees. So very, very useful park. And it is one of the finest parks that I have seen. And I've been visiting this park over the past 25 years. In fact, all the 25 tigers that I cited were at this park itself. Now, the NTCA acts as the regulatory authority and exercises control over the vehicles and the visitors. The NTCA, if any of you are wondering what it is, it stands for the National Tiger Conservation Authority. And about 8 years back, the tiger safaris by tourists was temporarily stopped across India, but after great amount of persuasion and representation made by the tourism boards and the travel agents, this particular activity was started again. But a number of curbs were put, which was that the park would be shut on Wednesday afternoons for safaris. The carrying capacity would be defined and only restricted to 20% of the core area. So technically today in the Kanha Tiger Reserve, we have 178 vehicles which are allowed for a morning safari or an evening safari. And that is the most beautiful thing. And in fact, we Lorient Travels also worked with the park for 3 years, and we did some kind of we gave solar lamps for the patrolling camps as part of our CSR to these parks. And here I'm seen in the picture giving the solar lamps to the chief warden during one of my visits. And I was very, very pleased to be doing this work for the park, but I feel that the forest reserve officials or the rangers inside the forest are also doing yeoman service for all the visitors that are coming to the park. Regulated tourism benefits nature, which is that the tiger will lord over the jungle, and the total number of Royal Bengal tigers I told you is 131. The statement that I like to make is that if the tiger survives, the forest will survive. If the forest survives, humanity will survive. What is important is that the tiger is at the top of the ecosystem, and below it come the prey, and then you come the vegetation. And the most important thing is that the forest reserves or the tiger reserves or the jungles is that the huge amount of rainfall they are able to generate every year. And this is very important for survival of human beings, because the water finally percolates to the surrounding villages and towns, dams are built, and then the whole of humanity can look forward to the umbrage or the cover of the forest for their own benefits for the future. That's why it's important that the tiger survives. The tiger grows in number over the years, though there is a huge challenge today between man-animal conflicts. There's a challenge of development, and there are other challenges as well. But I'm sure the number of tigers should show an increase in the next few years as well. Natural monuments may have an expiry date. Some monuments will live forever, or rather many monuments will live forever, be it natural or be it man-made. But some natural monuments may have an expiry date. Why will it happen? It's because natural monuments are over 1 million years old. Be it the beach, or be it the ocean, or be it the mountains. So the examples that you have is Western Ghats, the Eastern Ghats, the Himalayas, the forests across India. So there are various, the desert lands. What we have is that these are all natural monuments. The reasons for natural monuments disappearing may be overdevelopment, faulty planning. And the best example that I can give you is when the sands disappear into the ocean, or whether it's called sea erosion that takes place, and the beaches over a period of time become unsuitable for bathing or swimming or usage. So that's one of the examples. Then we have national parks also having a challenge of handling garbage and trash disposal, which is also a huge challenge. And we could see natural monuments, sadly, may not exist after a few years if care is not taken. This is the next point of view, is that no one yardstick for measuring tourism satisfaction due to differing expectations of travelers. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that one particular destination and two visitors will have two totally different opinions of the place they are visiting. So we cannot use one yardstick for measuring to say whether this particular destination suits the visitor or is unsuitable for travelers. Basically, tourists, this is the subjective part of tourism. We talked about the objective part of tourism. This is the subjective part of tourism, whereby you have different expectations, as a result of which destinations or cities or countries start offering different categories of hotels, different sightseeing attractions, different kinds of properties, different experiences, and they all try to cater to all categories of tourists. So the destination or the tourism or the state or a country will do its level best to attract all kinds of visitors. But unfortunately, there is no one yardstick for measuring tourism satisfaction besides the actual increase in numbers that you may be able to see in your statistics. Kerala is a good example of offering different experiences and attracting varied tourists. Just like Kerala in the late 80s became a destination that attracted all kinds of visitors, so did Rajasthan, so did Kashmir in the early 60s, 70s, and early 80s. And all these destinations offered products that were catered to all kinds of customers. For example, you see this houseboat on the top left. This houseboat offered you an overnight experience. So basically what happened was that you had one more range of accommodation available. Then you have the Kathakali dancer on your top right. This was very useful for the cultural tourists, people who wanted to see the culture and discover the culture. Then there were hill stations in Kerala, and then there's the Fort Cochin, which also caters to a very light set of tourists. And that's the good example that Kerala is an example that many other states or smaller countries could emulate. And you see at the bottom part of the picture that tourists from abroad as well as domestic tourists have thoroughly enjoyed the experience of being in Kerala, and they all come back and refer to Kerala as a destination they would like to visit in future. So Kerala is one example that has catered well to all kinds of tourists. Luxury facilities will not matter for pilgrim tourism. This is what is very important, is that there may be over 100 sites for pilgrim tourism in India, and almost many will not have 5-star hotels and 5-star resorts. But because the ultimate aim is to seek miraculous cures, to find God. So for some people, it is to complete vows. In this picture, you see the Velankani Church, Our Lady of Velankani in Tamil Nadu, which is in a place called Nagapatnam. And you would take 3 hours to go from Trichy to reach, to travel by car or bus and to reach this particular church. Every day they get hundreds of visitors. The accommodation is basic, I will call it tourist class. People spend a few hours, or people may maximum spend a day. Other places that come to mind are the Himkund lake in the Gadwal. Then we have the Char Dham. Then we have different places in Gujarat. We have also very important places in Maharashtra, and these are all pilgrim sites. But over years, they have been upgraded. Facilities are being improved. But we could also say that luxury facilities will not matter to that extent for pilgrim tourists, because the ultimate aim is not luxury, but to seek and find God, or to find a cure. Wow factors and experience, the new news. So what do modern travelers need today? We are all looking at a new set of travelers who are between the age of 15 to maybe 40. And what do they want? All of them want to participate in some kind of activity during their visit to a destination. Be it the domestic tourists or be it the international tourists, all these kind of tourists are looking for participation. They are not simply happy by looking at a monument and going back at the end of the day to the hotel, but they want to participate, which is why there are hot air balloon rides, there is parasailing, this is canoeing in Goa, there's canoeing in different parts, there is trekking opportunities that have started, there are biking is started, there are technical sports which have been started now, and all these different kinds of adventure activities will and extreme sports enhances the quality of the experience at destinations. So if destinations are wanting to upgrade their facilities, they could also look at providing these facilities. But as long as the carrying capacity it's within the carrying capacity and their safety norms are met. Experiences should be seamless. This is very important, because especially in case of international tourists, one bad experience of cheating, sexual harassment, racism, and civil unrest will put off a tourist who will in turn not recommend others to visit again. This is extremely important when we are looking at promoting our tourism and our tourists, our destinations to the rest of the world, that we should take utmost care to see that there is no harm that is caused to a tourist, even a domestic tourist. We should see that they are all treated in the best possible way, so that they all carry back wonderful memories, and they also are the best ambassadors of promoting your destination. Because remember, word of mouth is the best way to get a repeat customer. The destination growth stage from local to international. This is the dream of all destinations, whether it's a state, whether it's a country, whether it is one particular attraction. They all want to grow from local to international, because there are a number of visitors that come, and what happens is that the value of that particular destination goes up. There are 4 different stages involved in this. One is the local participation and flavor. That's how it normally starts, because then the locals start a small festival or an experience, followed by word of mouth and exclusivity. What will happen is sometimes a tourist will drop in, and then he carries the word to the other tourists back home, and then the crowd pulling and following others starts. So clouds begin to come over a period of time, say between 6 to 10 years, and then there is commercialization and global recognition. The best two examples that I can quote are the Pushkar Fair Rajasthan and the Oktoberfest in Germany. Both have grown by leaps and bounds in the past 3 decades. And I can tell you that both they offer very, very good experiences, though now they are at the fourth stage where it's commercialization. And we also have these particular events are recognized all over the world. I will briefly tell you about the story of the Pushkar Fair so that all of you will understand that how Pushkar started from such a very small beginnings. The original intent of Pushkar was to encourage local camel and cattle traders to do business. During the Holy Kartik Purnima festival held in Pushkar on the banks of the Pushkar Lake in Rajasthan, traders brought camel, horse and cattle from across Rajasthan and parts of Gujarat. The fair lasted 7 days. The first part was used for trading, the second part for religious activities and festivities. Over decades, it brought in visitors from nearby regions. Later, backpackers arrived, followed by tourists from different cities. When facilities improved, it brought in the luxury traveler. Today, Pushkar sees over 100,000 visitors for the festival. For your information, Pushkar is one of the few places in India with a Brahma temple. You will see very few Brahma temples. So Pushkar has the rare advantage, and it has a beautiful Brahma temple which I have seen. The Pushkar Fair today is an international brand, just as Oktoberfest in Germany, which charges an entrance fee because of the high demand. Oktoberfest, when I visited it 25 years ago, there was no entrance fee. But today, when you go, you need to pay an entrance fee of, I think, 70 euros. And you can also get back beer once you enter. It is basically done to control the crowds that come in huge numbers. Oktoberfest gets, I think, a few millions every year. So where does it all begin? Where does travel begin? We are quite curious to know, where did travel begin? Travel begins with explorers and discoverers who want to chart the unknown. And next in line comes the backpackers in the age group of 15 to 25, keen to uncover a destination. Newness, affordability, rarity, common interest travel, curiosity is what brings these travelers to unseen and undiscovered locations. Ladakh is the best example. I was there in the early 90s. In the 80s, it brought backpackers, hikers, mountaineers from across the globe, mainly from Europe. Travelers from Srinagar crossed the Jojila Pass and Kargil and entered Leh, a perfect contrast to the greens of Kashmir. Some flew in directly from Delhi, while the more hardened took the bus or bike from Manali to Leh. Gaining fame, Ladakh went on to capture the imagination of many international travelers. In my opinion, whatever the rest may say, it's the backpackers who really bring the destination to the next level. So let's raise a toast to the backpacker, the weather beater, and the peregrinator with a vision. That's the importance of backpacking, though it is not so much, does not matter much to travel agents and tour operators, but backpackers are the people who will carry the best messages back home. This is the backpacking that we see. On your left, you see, I was part of this backpacking camel safari ride that we did in Rajasthan. We were there for 3 days in the desert, and this is the afternoon break. For all of you who would like to know, the camel rides are only during the morning and evening hours. During the afternoon, you normally spend your time under the shade of the khajur tree or the date trees. On the right, it's me at in Ladakh in 1993, and when I went, I discovered with the help of friends, we covered almost the whole of Ladakh. And so this is what we saw in the early 90s in Ladakh. Ladakh was the land of high passes. As you know, Ladakh means the land of high passes at 12,000 feet above sea level. And your picture on the upper left is the Somorari Lake at sunset, a very beautiful lake that we reached after traveling the whole day. To your right is the ladies who are sitting and actually dancing in the Ladakhi style dance, entertaining visitors in the late afternoon. To your bottom left, you may see that at the right bottom, you will find the Pashmina goats and the Changpa tribes, which is at 16,000 feet that we meet them. I was able to see them. And this is very important, as well as the stark grandeur of Ladakh, which you see on the next picture to your right. And this is Ladakh. Today it's